of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet
Once again, big round of applause for Bella Porter. Fans, let's stay standing and let's get a little stretch. It's time.
My little Bella, my little Bella. God bless America. God bless America. You got to remember, it's all about these guys, right? All about the kids. God bless America. God bless America. I'll tell you what, guys, we are in it. We are in it right now, aren't we? Crazy times. Well, you are watching on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. We're on the Smart Money Culture TV network, as well as joining around the world on X and Twitter. X and Twitter, X and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all the rest of them. Rumble. Pretty interesting few days that we've had. Yesterday was just absolutely crazy. Of course, the markets are crazy as well. I actually just read a report. At least one of the Bank of America guys said that trading stocks right now is like walking on broken glass or something like that. Anyway, it actually has been tricky trading. It's different now with the AI and everything like that in the algorithms or whatnot that they're using. I mean, it is they have these liquidation bots and everything. It is tricky. If you are trading, you want to be following. If you're not following our signals, you need to follow something. We use the Elliott wave theory as well as the Fibonacci numbers in order to predict what the markets are going to do. The Fibonacci sequence are numbers that exist throughout nature, and they just repeat over and over and over again. It's pretty interesting. I've actually brought them up a couple of times. I might even have a post on it that I can quickly search here. Sequence. So, and maybe this, I guess this explains it a little bit. I'll just, basically the sequence of these numbers exists throughout nature, all over. And you can see how it fits into the box. And then it fits there, right? And as it comes around. And so we look at these sequences that happen over and over and over again in nature. And it's very powerful. And that's one of the ways that one of the things that we use to predict how low it's going to go, how high it's going to go. And if you follow our signals, you're making money. I know it's tricky. We're making money. And we're working on ways for you guys to be more involved. So navigating 2024's headlines and politics. So Trump had his big reveal last night. And I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but it kind of left me hanging. I don't know about you guys. I think most of the crypto bros, first of all, not saying that's not going to work or anything. It just wasn't very clear. It was like a 2 hour, and I get it. Like he had just gotten a attempted assassination, so the kid, he's like a kid in Canada, and I've never heard of any of these people, to be honest with you. That was another thing. But he was like, "Oh my gosh, I got the first interview with Trump since the second assassination attempt." He was a bit awestruck. I get it. I remember the first time I interviewed, before I ended up becoming friends with John McAfee, but the first time I interviewed John McAfee, I was a bit starstruck as well. That was one of the only interviews that I ever had that I was really starstruck. But I was like, oh my gosh, it's John McAfee, oh my gosh. I even made the guy go back and edit my interview at one point and take out the part where I was so starstruck. But anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, an hour into it or something like that. And I streamed it, so you can go on to my X at Networks Manager and watch it. It was a space as well, which spaces are great, but I don't know. It just didn't doing much for me. I guess what it is, they're building a platform. Again, it wasn't very clear. But because Donald Trump kept talking about kind of lending money. So you're going to be able to lend money, or they're going to be able to borrow money against your crypto, I guess. But how that functioned was not clear. And then I guess they're going to have a token built on Ethereum, but they're not going to let Americans buy it, at least at first. So they're going to do a public sale, and that's fairly normal. We've done those multiple times. You don't let Americans participate in it, but it's kind of funny to not have Americans be able to participate in Donald Trump's initial auction of his coin. So I guess it's World Liberty Finance or World Liberty Financial. Never heard of any of the guys that were talking that were on it. They didn't seem very well vetted to me, but that's Trump, and it'll probably be a big success. I'll definitely buy some when they go on the auction, one way or the other. But there's no date really on when it's going to launch. It's very unclear. So they're going to have a token, but what is it? And then, they're not competing with the US dollar or this and that. It's a little bit like of a, you have Trump saying, the banks are this and that, and it's old and this blah, blah, blah. And then, so anyway, I thought it was fairly unclear. They could have done a lot better job. Now, still on Trump's page, they went live on Trump's page. We had it sometimes not even that many people on the space, but 1.1 million, I guess, watched it on there. So you can watch it, and we'll be watching. So whether it's good that they're moving things forward, we do need a new financial system. I get it, and they probably don't want to be too rah down and the Fed like I am, I guess. They don't want to make everybody mad at them. But I walked away from that still not really knowing what it was all about. And that's not good. I listened for 2 hours. My daughter is like, "Come on, Daddy. Come on. I gotta hear this." So anyway, that is my thoughts on that. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. It doesn't mean I won't be involved. But that was a bit rough to watch or listen to. All eyes are on the Fed rate cut. As you know, we have a Fed rate cut. It looked like Pocahontas was out there, and she's saying, let's do a 0.75% rate cut, 75 basis point rate cut, because that will ensure that Trump doesn't get elected. And they are using this very politically. Of course, the banks, it's like people always used to tell me, Bruce, this is Bitcoin. Don't get involved in politics. And I knew way back when it was a monetary revolution. Bitcoin and politics are one, and Bitcoin is politics, guys. It's politics. But so you have Pocahontas out there, and the central bank, of course, the Federal Reserve has been playing politics, and that's why we didn't have rate cuts until now. And now we're obviously almost dialed in, guaranteed that we were going to get a rate cut. Whether it's going to be 25 basis points or 50 basis points, or if it's going to be 75, which I highly doubt. I think it's going to be 25 basis points. They want to do 3 rate cuts this year. So, how are they going to do, 50 or 75? I don't think they're going to do that. So, 25 will have a good effect on the markets. That will put more liquidity out into everything. It'll lower the strength of the dollar, which will increase risk assets. It'll do what they want. Put more money into everybody's hands for the short time. The Queen of Lies, Hillary Clinton, calls for criminal prosecutions for posting misinformation. Can you believe this woman? I mean, the Queen of Misinformation, the one who told us that Benghazi started from a video, is saying that we should prosecute people. This is worth watching. I'm going to play the clip. We should prosecute, in some cases, criminally, she says. We should prosecute people. I mean, this woman is really lost in here. Let me just engaged in this kind of propaganda, she says. I mean, this is like the queen of propaganda here. Let me just make sure I add. Here we go. Here she is in all of her evilness.
And boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence, because then boosting Trump back in 20.
There she is on Rachel Maddow. Criminally prosecuted for misinformation. The Queen of Misinformation tells us. That will be a better deterrent. These people. Who's going to decide what's misinformation? I mean, these guys, the misinformation fact checkers are wrong at least as much as the misinformation people. She might as well just say criminally prosecuted for saying things that the state doesn't like. That's some scary stuff right there, guys. Yeah, that's some scary stuff. So the Trump assassin has been linked to the CIA. I'm going to place more of that at the end of the show. One of the favorite guys there is going to be on Alex Jones. Alex Jones picked up the story as well. And these guys. The last guy I think was linked. He had been to the FBI a number of times, and then the media just shoves all this stuff under the carpet. It was really crazy. But the last guy, like I said, had been to they tracked his phones or whatever it is. You do your own research on this. From what I understand, from what I read, he had been to the FBI office a number of times. And then this guy looks like multiple links to the CIA. The first guy was in a BlackRock video. BlackRock, as you know, owns now, I think, over 50% of the Ukraine. Like, it's crazy. And then as well, this new guy was in the Azov video, and Azov is like one of the, I think, by the looks of it, one of the military units of the Ukraine. It's crazy. You go down these rabbit holes. I don't even like to go down. I get people on my feed. Oh, it's about this, and it's about the Khazars and the Khazarias, and I just can't keep up, guys. Really. Just stop killing each other, I think, is the main thing we got to do. It'll be interesting to see if Trump makes it over the line alive. I 2 attempts on his life in as many months is just absolutely crazy. It's crazy. And they're both kind of like, the first one, okay, that guy, that bullet just missed him. That guy, that was, from all appearances, a fluke. I played that video a number of times. I actually showed my daughter the other day. My daughter goes to a Catholic school, one of them, and the other one's in high school now. And she said that her friends were talking about they liked Kamala. I was like, wow, that's crazy. At a Catholic school? She says, yeah, I didn't say anything. I was like, well, that was a good idea. Just stay out of it. RFK. So this was the video that I showed her actually, because she wanted to know like what happened and how did it miss it, and she had questions, and so I showed her this video. Add this back to the screen, and they have, of course, Matt Dixon queued up here.
Take a look what happened.
So you can see how he tilted his head.
Take
and
a look what happened.
You know, the bullet missed him. So this, I think, is almost a little bit more, I don't know if understandable is the right word, but okay. And this new guy, though, I just don't really get it either. I haven't been able to dig in. It's like the rabbit hole, right? I haven't been able to dig into it. But I don't understand one, and so this guy had a nest built up, and everybody's like, well, everybody didn't know if he was going to be golfing or not. Well, yeah, I get that, but they didn't know what time he was going to be golfing. The guy built the nest, though. He knew he was going to be golfing at some time. So, you know what I mean? I guess the part that nobody's really talking about is you had that the guys there from World Liberty Financial, and that guy obviously golfs, and so he was supposed to golf with Trump. I'm not proposing that they had anything to do with it, but they knew that Trump was going to be golfing over the weekend or over these days. So I don't think it's that out of, obviously the guy had some inside information or whatever to get in there, and he has the links to the CIA and all that stuff. But it doesn't surprise me that he had a nest. But then the Secret Service fired on him like 3 or 4 times, and they didn't hit him. Like, and it's just weird. It's just weird, man. So this new guy definitely has Lee Harvey Oswald vibes. So Lee Harvey Oswald was then assassinated by Jacob Rubinstein, who most of you know as Jack Ruby. They changed his name so it wouldn't sound so ethnic. His real name was Jacob Rubinstein. Of course, that was right after Kennedy was trying to, or did, I think, push the silver certificates and also make AIPAC predecessor, which was AZC, register as foreign agents. And then there was no more. And then they had Bobby lined up soon after that. It's crazy history that the United States has. Actually, I was down at the Ford Theater the other day, and I stopped in and I did a tour and a little bit of history on everything as well. Abraham Lincoln. I've often said that Abraham Lincoln didn't free the slaves; he made slaves of all of us. And people get upset at me, but it's true. And actually, Abraham Lincoln, if you look at what he did, one of the pillars of our freedom is habeas corpus. And Abraham Lincoln, I guess I wasn't surprised. He trampled all over that. Nobody got habeas corpus. He suspended habeas corpus as he went and did all his stuff. He actually started fiat money as well. I'm not against the slaves being free. Obviously, freedom of the slaves is a good thing. I don't. But anyway, pretty interesting history that we have. Of course, he was assassinated, and they said it was because he was going against the banks. It's a long time ago. Very hard to pull apart that stuff. But when you see that, you say, "Oh wow, look at that!" Basically suspended the Constitution. That's not good, right? That's not good. Anyway, the markets are poised pretty well here. Of course, we've had a nice run up on everything. Gold, as we predicted, has just been a very nice performer. Of course, Bitcoin, a bit of a pullback over the last few months. Actually, we predicted that as well. It is normal that after the halving, of course, we have our halving, and then after the halving, we have this time of a number of months where we go sideways chop or even down. And then we go up, then we go parabolic. which coincides this time with October. I have my friend Matt Dixon here. Seems to be having a little bit of technical difficulties. Are you ready, brother?
As ready as I'm going to be. Unfortunately, I have got technical issues, so I'm just on the mobile phone. I don't know what's happening down.
But is that with the new computer?
Yeah, it's a newish computer.
Okay.
But anyway, I think it's actually the internet is an issue at the moment, I think. So I'm just going off the mobile. So a bit to talk about anyway today. Unfortunately, I can't show you the charts, but the charts were really important. So it's a shame. I mean, we've got the FOMC meeting tomorrow, of course, and the market expectations have changed a little bit. I know we were expecting, and I think the market was expecting 25 basis points. And it's now, the last time I checked, it was 71% chance of a 50 basis point cut.
Wow.
And 49% chance of a 25 basis point cut. So clearly, add them together, we have 100% chance of a cut. So it looks like the Fed are definitely cutting 100%. But the fact that it's 71% now in favor of a 50 basis point cut is telling us quite a lot about what's going on in the economy. The fact is, it must be slowing dramatically. Yeah. And some really interesting stuff's come out. I posted quite a bit of it on X, actually, whereby the M2 money supply, effectively the amount of money in the system, is now increasing again. And I saw a really nice chart put out by Raoul Pol showing Bitcoin against money supply. And it showed that Bitcoin has tracked money supply all the way. Well, certainly for the past couple of years or so. Tracks it really, really closely. So if we're seeing money supply, and actually it's projected to continue to increase into the future, that bodes really well for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Yeah. So I looked into it. There's no doubt about it. Money supply is on the increase, not just from what he said, but I looked independently at government charts, government data, and money supply is increasing. So the fact there's more money in the system, but I looked at my charts and looked at the crypto charts, which sadly I can't show you, but I saw this morning 5 waves down on Bitcoin, on Toncoin, on Solana, and a number of the main coins. And 5 waves down tells me that that's an impulse. So it's either an A wave, part of an ABC down, or it's part of a bigger impulse of 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, and that's just wave 1 of it. So I think I believe we're going to get a bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news event. I think now it's 100% nailed on. We're getting a rate cut. And I think whatever happens, whether it's 25 or 50, some people are going to be disappointed. And also, a lot of people will have counted it into the market, into the pricing. And so I think initially we might, so I'm just really saying, be very, very cautious with your trades. As you know, I've been trading quite actively the past couple of weeks probably, and doing really, really well with it. I closed my trades out on last Friday, I think it was. Did really well there. I actually entered into some long trades again on Monday. So what's that? It's only, I even lose track of what day it is. But anyway,
yeah,
I opened some
I'm off this week as well. I think it's only Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I opened some long trades yesterday. I actually closed them already in a little bit of profit because I saw this 5 waves down. And whilst we should get a bit of a retracement back from that in 3 waves higher, we then get a further 5 waves down as a minimum, really. So that's why I've closed my trades in a little bit of profit, not much, but I could have just protected them. But I think the market's going to be so much volatility. The prices will swing a lot when we get this FOMC news tomorrow. So there's virtually no point putting stop losses. All you're doing is guaranteeing you get less of a profit or you take a small loss.
That's one of the tricky things about stop losses, right? You put them in there and you're like, well, I had all this profit, and then I just let myself be stopped out at a little profit.
It's absolutely annoying. And so many people, I've heard it said so many times that, you know, there's a lot of people who buy in and hodl forever. Well, it's good, I guess, but you've got to actually decide to cash out at some point. Otherwise, you never have a profit. Yep. A profit on paper is worth nothing. You can't spend it. So you've got to take profits sometime. So I just took a very small profit this morning. I'm very happy with it. I'll probably now wait. Well, I will now wait until I see what's going to happen around FOMC. Doesn't mean I'll necessarily wait for the actual news, But if I see a big price move, I'll look at the wave structure on it. And this is why it's important to understand. I think Elliott wave structure is great for me. Other people might use different systems, but it's good to understand. So, for example, this morning with that 5 waves down, they're very, very clear. It abided by all of the rules. So we got a nice wave 1, wave 2 up, then wave 3 was the extended wave, which is the longest wave. And it's normally a minimum 1.618 times the first wave, which it was. Wave 4 didn't overlap into wave 1. And then we got a wave 5 down. So we had a perfectly clear and valid 5 waves. Then we got the move up. And it's actually that move up which I used to take my profit this morning. And whilst I do expect a move down, I am nervous ahead of the FOMC meeting. Anything can happen now. And whilst everybody is now expecting, if you think about it, 100% of people now expect there to be a rate cut. So everybody is probably positioned around a rate cut. So it probably is going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news, at least initially anyway. And I've always noticed over many, many years of trading, whenever everybody is positioned one way in the market, there's virtually only one way it can go. Right. Even though the news is going to come out in everyone's favor, it's still probably going to go the other way. So, I'm not going to call it the market, that is. I'm not going to call it one way or the other. I'm just saying be very, very careful. I'm being careful.
And one of the things that you mentioned yesterday that I thought was, most things I agree with. Obviously, that's why we do the show. But, you mentioned that there's a less liquidity in the markets because a lot of people like yourself and myself may be sitting to the side to let this go and decide what direction it's going to go and then go into our trades. Well, so that liquidity is not there. And so the markets can swing wildly, and they do.
Yeah, and that's you broke up a bit then, so I hope you can hear me. But that's quite important when you're talking about liquidity. There is less liquidity in the trading right now because people are afraid and they're treading water. But what we were looking at with the M2 money supply, that's looking at long term, the big picture for liquidity. And it tells us the big picture move is likely very positive for risk assets like Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptos and S&P and so on. So the outlook is probably very positive for them. That's the big picture long term, but short term is really where we're trading because we can't afford to hold our positions. As that famous saying goes, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And so rationally, with all this liquidity coming into the system with M2 money supply increasing, you think that's going to be great for risk assets. But as it says, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So for as long as it needs to wipe you out, the market will be irrational and will wipe a lot of people out. So that's why I've learned over 40 years of trading now, just about, to be very, very cautious. I'm still going to try. It looks like the internet might just be waking up, coming back to life. So I am just going to try and see if I can look at that. So it's interesting. The turn down the other day, whether it's to do with the Trump assassination attempt, whether that's genuine, I don't know. But whether it was, I don't know, because the markets turned down pretty much on cue, didn't they? I don't know if you're watching over the weekend.
Yes.
So
yeah, I mean, it was. I don't think it so much had anything to do with the Trump assassination attempt. I think it was just the markets on cue. That was my feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure, but I was. I'm just remembering now back on what trade I was doing. So it was actually over the weekend because I closed out my trades on Friday. It was actually when the market really dipped down quite sharply, and Solana dipped to about 131 something. No, sorry, 129 something. That's when I jumped in around that time. And this morning it's gone up in a corrective wave move, I think. So that's why I've now cashed out. And yeah, sadly, for some reason it just still says no internet. But anyway, that's why I cashed out, because we do appear to have a very choppy move, as we're always talking about. Choppy moves are corrective. We've had 5 nice clear waves down. Pretty I can't show you, but it's very, very clear. And it's across assets. And I will just check on S&P 500 while we're talking. Actually, S&P 500 is still rocketing to the upside. So we've got brand new all-time high in the making here. Not quite there just yet, but we're very, very close. So the previous all-time high was about 5679, I think. And the price now is 5665. So we're just 14 points. That's on the futures, of course. but we're
Yep.
just 14 points now away from a brand new all-time high for the S&P 500. So I don't doubt that's coming. And
Yep.
as I said, big picture liquidity is telling us there's more liquidity coming in. It's got to go somewhere. And why not go into the S&P? Because earnings are still looking pretty good. It's a risk asset. It should perform really well. And we are expecting that all-time high because, again, we had a nice corrective wave down. We're pushing up. We need a new all-time high just to fit the wave structure. We need it. So I'm very confident there. And I just, unfortunately, as I say, again, I can't show you the charts, but oil has actually turned down again. We had a bit of a push up from a support level, but oil's turning down again. So with extra liquidity in the system, this will hopefully start to push the economy again, because there are signs the economy is slowing, and that's why the Fed are reducing rates. So what they're looking at, their mandate is obviously to maintain stable employment. Now, we've seen unemployment picking up quite a bit recently. When I say quite a bit, it has been picking up. The signs that there are, the other signs are telling us that the unemployment rate could tick up quite a lot. I mean, it's historical low rate at the moment. I know a lot of people say they're not accurate figures, they're not true, whatever, but they're still, whatever you say, whichever way you look at it, I think unemployment is actually at record lows in the US in particular. And bearing in mind the recessionary signals that are beginning to to show themselves, I think that we are looking at definitely quite a bit higher unemployment. This isn't going to be good longer term for risk assets, but short term, the reason it's good is the Fed tried to pump money into the system to try to reflate the economy, try to keep the economy inflated, actually try for a soft landing ideally. But do bear in mind, all the time the Fed have been trying to manage the economy, they've only ever had one occasion they've had a soft landing. So imagine the Fed is supposed to be managing the economy, all these recessions we've had, and we've had a lot of recessions over the years.
That was when Clinton, or when was that when?
Oh, right from recessions right back for the past 60 years. If you look at
No, I mean the soft landing.
Oh, I think it's under Reagan.
Reagan, okay.
I think I'd have to double check on that, but I think it was. I mean, it's some time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all these recessions that we've had, they're literally failures of the Fed. They're failure of the Fed to manage the economy properly. So, you get the economy slowing dramatically, people losing jobs. And ideally, we want stability. We want things. And that's why we want a soft landing. A soft landing means stability, really. We're not losing too many jobs. The economy is still bubbling away nicely. But it looks as though we're headed towards recession, which does mean there'll be job losses. But before that happens, as I was saying, the Fed will do all they can to avert it. So first of all, they've got quite a bit of ammunition with the interest rates. They're 5.25. They've got quite a bit to drop down. And that's one reason why I'm not sure. I'm still not sure, even though 71% say they're going to get 50 basis points. I'm still not sure because that takes a lot of ammunition.
It takes a lot of ammunition. And I think you're right. I think it'll be viewed as that they made a mistake. But I don't know. There is a lot. I mean, I started out the show before you came on. Pocahontas, this one, whatever her name is, senator from Vermont, I think, whatever her name is, I forget. She's calling for 75 basis point cut, and specifically because if we don't cut it 75 basis points, Trump is going to get elected.
I'm not sure what that shows. If you do 75, that would definitely be seen as panic. That would definitely bring my scenario with buy the rumor, sell the news. They would definitely sell on that, I'm telling you, because that would be seen as absolute panic. So I don't think there's any chance of that happening. I'd actually pity the internet's not working so well. I'd look at the odds of that. But as I say, it's 71. In fact, there must be virtually no odds because 71% chance of a 50 basis point.
50 or right.
And then whatever's left of a 25 basis point. And so, it's nailed on, I would say. Probably 50, yeah. So just jumping back again, overall, just a quick summary of the market. I mean, it's actually slightly green in general.
Yep.
So just flipping through the main assets that we often look at. I mean, Algo Rand's at 1%. BNB is up over 1%, 1.4%. ADA, Cardano is up 0.91%. ICP is down just a touch, 0.6%. Litecoin is absolutely flat. XRP down 0.14. Solana up 0.81. It's actually right at the level I closed. Oh no, I closed a bit above that. I closed 32.70. But it's seems to be sticking around those levels. I'm glad I closed. I don't like worrying. Glad to be out of the market right now. Bitcoin's doing reasonably comfortably. We're still not. We need to settle above 60 really, because that's quite a psychological level for Bitcoin. Yeah. And we're at 59,183 right now as we speak. So we really need to see it spike above. But there is chance. I looked at the wave counts and looked at what the possibilities were. We could have completed what I call a triangle, which is A, B, C, D, E. So if you count those, it's 5 waves, A, B, C, D, E, 5 waves. But it could be a slightly more complex correction. Either way, it's still a correction, which means there's still higher to go. So I'm confident that we have new all-time highs to come with Bitcoin, but the correction could be more complex, and it could be some kind of WXY, which is a double 3 correction, works out as 7 waves instead of 5. That being the case, we could potentially have another nasty little dip to come, and it would be a sting in the tail to wash out all those paper hands, those weak hands as they call them, who are holding Bitcoin. Get rid of all those before they then push the price up sky high to new all-time highs. So if you're, as long as you're not leveraged, it's no problem at all. If you're leveraged, just be very, very careful. And personally, as I say, I think it's good to stay out of the market at these particular times. Just looking at gold, again, I can't show you all the divergences, but we actually showed the very top in the market on gold. It was perfect, and we've had a nice move down as expected. So yeah, gold is looking good. As we said yesterday, on all sorts of bigger fractals, it's looking very positive long term. So I'm definitely still a gold bug. I really like gold as a long term holding. Definitely part of any well diversified portfolio, I believe.
Yes.
And I know you believe.
For sure.
Yeah. Toncoin is absolutely flat today. Again, you can't see it, but we got some perfect bearish divergence. It's actually hidden bearish divergence we got yesterday. Well, it wasn't actually yesterday. It was on the Friday the 13th. So it's last Friday. So interestingly, that's actually when the market turned down, Friday 13th.
How about that?
I know I say I like the number 13 because it's an impulsive number on the Elliott wave, but that's just a bit of a joke. But this was interesting. On Friday 13th, that's when the market turned down. So wouldn't that be shocking if it were to potentially be a top in the market?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the case. I think it's just a temporary turn down, personally, because again with Ton, we've got a very nice clear 5 waves up. I think this is just. So we have 5 waves down also, but that means the 5 waves down is a smaller 5 waves down. It's just an A wave. We've got a B wave high, then a C wave down. So I'm still really bullish these markets. I think maybe confusing the way I'm talking bearish and bullish, but overall long term, I am still bullish the markets. I think Bitcoin will reach new all-time highs. I think Toncoin will reach a new all-time high. And I think a lot of the other coins will reach a lot higher. I'm not sure about some. I've heard some not so good things about Ethereum, because if Ethereum, just think about it. If Ethereum came out as a new coin today, would you invest in it? You've got gas fees sky high. You've got transaction speeds quite slow. You've got other things that are better to build on, much better to build on. Why would you invest in Ethereum? I'm not sure. So it's living on borrowed time as far as I'm concerned. So I know, and we've got the Ethereum ETF, and it still hasn't really responded at all. So I'm not sure whether Ethereum would be the right play. And even though it's down compared with others, if you look at it in relation to others, it's actually down when you compare it with a lot of other cryptos. I would be looking at more interesting, more innovative, newer age, new generation type cryptos, the likes of Toncoin, the likes of Solana.
Yeah.
But then just talking around it, I'm talking to myself a bit here, I know, but, I'm always thinking crypto anyway, but Solana, I'm just thinking in my mind, it's got that high inflation rate, hasn't it? And that's surely got to be a negative.
Yeah. I think well, and now of course Ethereum has changed that. Ethereum there's so many people that have Ethereum. There's just so much liquidity in that market. I can say when I see tokens and coins launched on Ethereum, a lot of times they will do better these right now anyway than other tokens that are launched on other ones like Solana. And then it's already done kind of its impulsive move, it appears. So, there were a lot of tokens on Solana, and then when it did this big impulsive move, everyone was just dumping their tokens to get back into Solana. And
Do you know
so
Solana? Do you know Solana just recently reached its new all-high market cap? So even though the price is half what it was, half of its all-time high, it actually reached, and that just tells you how much inflation there is in Solana. So interestingly, again, I'm talking about pros and cons here. So you think about Ethereum. Ethereum has switched now from being an inflationary token to being deflationary now. So that's one plus for Ethereum. I've just gave you the negatives before, but that is a big plus for Ethereum. It's actually a deflationary token. Solana, I mean, that's pretty amazing. It's half the price. So that shows you a massive level of inflation. It shows you there must be twice as many tokens in play.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So when you got all that, and that's the whole thing crypto is supposed to be about, is fighting this old monetary system of inflation and creating money out of thin air. And that's effectively what Solana is doing. So although I do love a lot of things about Solana, that is one of the big worries that there is. And this is one of the things you need to do when you're analyzing tokens. You need to look at the deflationary or inflationary aspects of the token. The problem is so many people just trade off hype and they don't look at fundamentals. So fundamentals, short, medium term, may not be important at all, but long term, surely fundamentals have got to come into play. You would hope.
Right.
That's what you would hope.
So what is Ton's inflation or deflationary method? Do you know?
What is Solana's what? Sorry?
Ton.
Oh, I'm not sure about Ton. I think Ton is deflationary, to be honest, because I think
there's so many out there already, right? And then it's deflationary.
Yeah. So Ton was very different in the way it distributed its tokens. It actually took a different model to everybody else. And they started off with proof of work, I think.
Yes, you're right. I remember getting contacted about it way back when. They wanted me to mine it.
And then they switched over, didn't they, to proof of stake? I'm pretty sure. So a little bit like Ethereum did that. And now I think so. It's gone from being obviously initially inflationary. When you proof of work, you're mining tokens. It's inflationary. Obviously, there's more tokens coming in.
You're mining the newly minted tokens. Yep.
Yeah, but then they switched over to proof of stake, which means that all the tokens are now out there. So actually, I love the model for Ton. I mean, I know you've talked a lot about Ton positively, and I'm actually coming more and more around to agree with it. Just a bit worrying how they go and arrest the main guy, but
it is very worrying because it should do all these things, but that is a big worry.
Yeah, I mean the fact is Ton does have the world record for transaction speed.
They're building games on it and everything. I mean, it is a highly functional blockchain.
Yeah, and the fact it has now limited supply, that all the tokens are out there. There's a lot of tokens, but I think they're actually, it's a good solid one of the better crypto assets to look at. I think I actually was talking with somebody about it yesterday and said I think I'm probably going to start trading Ton a bit more actively. I've focused for the past 2 years probably. Most of my trading's been on Solana, and I'm very happy with that. But I think maybe it's time to start looking at some alternatives. When I say most of my trading, obviously I've done all the others as well, but I just mean the majority. I've liked Solana because when the market goes up, it seems to go up more. And yes, when it goes down more, but that provides opportunity and traders love volatility. So that's been a good idea. And even the memes today are looking reasonably positive. I mean, Book of Memes, which as we've always said, isn't really a meme anyway, but that's at 1.8%. There's a nice AI token. I can see there is up 3.4 something percent. Rollbit, the one I'm always talking about, is up to 0.31%. So that's pretty good. I like that. It's been a really good one. As I say, up over 100% in the last month. So that's been fantastic. And XRP, probably just finish up on that. Again, looking like very, very confused. XRP is always a difficult one to call. But Yeah, it's really, really difficult to call. We had the last big divergence we had was actually a bearish divergence, a hidden bearish divergence. So I'm suspecting that will still hold play. That was a long-term divergence that was there. So I'm still thinking maybe a little bit more downside, but even XRP, I think, when the market takes off, which it will do at some point soon, that'll be good. So really, tomorrow's the big day. So let's just, I would say, keep your powder dry, ideally for tomorrow. See what happens just before or around the interest rate decision, and then just be ready.
Good advice.
Yeah. So trade safe.
You got it.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you for that, Bruce. Hopefully we'll have this computer worked out well. It's not the computer, as I say. I think it's the internet today.
Internet.
So
okay.
All sorts of issues in this mega city that I'm in.
I know. Well, thanks for making it work. Always appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. Thanks, everybody at Impact Money. Good to be here. Bye for now.
Cheers. Bye. So one of the things I had queued up here, of course, is this links between this assassination attempt, this new assassination attempt, and the CIA. And Alex Jones picked up this story, so I wanted to play this clip for you. Let me just add this right to my screen here. You probably know this guy, Ian Carroll. He has really made his name going after the Zog, as they call it, I guess, the Zionist and everything else. So it says Ian Carroll exposes Trump's would-be assassin as a CIA asset in this shocking video. He'll be joining me on the Alex Jones show this Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. Break it down. Now this is here how he goes in. Let's listen. I actually have not listened to this myself. I'm watching it with you.
So the new Trump assassin just dropped, and there's some spicy details already. Ryan Routh, very strange guy who's lived a very strange life. And this time, the internet was wise and archived all of his socials as much as possible before the FBI took it all down. So here's some basics on what we know about him, and one really interesting rabbit hole about who he might be. Right off the bat, though, it's super early. This is all speculative. Take your time, pump the brakes. We're just digging through dirty laundry. We don't know what sticks yet. But this guy is a private American citizen who traveled to Ukraine on his own dime, to help recruit civilian soldiers to fight for Ukraine and Afghan special forces. He was like recruiting on his Facebook page. Here's an archive of all of his tweets that look pretty damn automated to me. They pretty much all look like this. In a past life in Hawaii, he apparently ran this company that made a single tiny home and a single Facebook page and never did anything else with it. Super weird. But I grabbed everyone that he followed on Twitter before they deleted it. He only followed 60. And right down at the bottom of that list, which I think indicates his first follow, is this girl named Sue Kim, who is ex-CIA, along with some other very interesting things. Now, again, reminder, this is just speculation, digging through Twitter dirt. Maybe this chick is just a wonderful, patriotic person that's helping America. Who knows? But her account is private, meaning why does he follow her? I've been digging around, and one of my followers said that they found her in the people that follow him back. I have not been able to confirm that for myself because they took the account down. If you've got a video of the 1.2 thousand followers that followed him, that would be great to know. He says that she was at the bottom of his followed list, meaning that she followed him right when he made the account. That would make sense, seeing as she's at the bottom of his following list of who he follows too. I mean, every asset needs a handler. And when you go through some of these other affiliations here, you get what is essentially the CIA training grounds at Johns Hopkins University. It explores the relationship between politics and the many kinds of military power, from the use of terror by small non-state groups to the threatened use of nuclear weapons. Its director is John McLaughlin, who is literally an ex-acting director of the CIA and ex-deputy director of the CIA. 3-decade career at the CIA. David is third on the list of people at the top of this institution at the university. 30-year career in Army Special Forces, various special operations, invading various countries, as well as Operation Enduring Freedom. You get the idea. Anyways, Rand Corporation. That's a military industrial complex think tank, kind of like the Atlantic Council. And LMI.org. Yeah, that's like a military industrial complex education and training program as well. Preliminary findings on the internet when you search our homeboy, the shooter, show his arrest record, including in 2002, possession of weapons of mass destruction, Class F felony, along with 3 other blocks of things like possession of handguns or concealed weapons and driver's license stuff. And yeah, that sounds like some operative shit to me. But again, we don't know any of this yet. We're just digging through dirty laundry on the internet. It's hard to tell what's real. But this is a photo of the weapon he used and the setup he had. People are speculating it looks an awful lot like, Russian, Ukrainian class of rifle. He's doing these weird recruitment ops in Ukraine for civilians. Well, he's like posting on his Facebook all the time to like no followers about how he's recruiting hundreds of civilians to fight for Ukraine. Posting for like Afghan special forces to contact him so they can come fight in Ukraine. But he's like just a random citizen from Hawaii. And one of the 60 people he follows is this CIA gal that allegedly follows him back. That looks an awful lot like a handler or a contact. His account looks an awful lot like a bot or an MK Ultra or a Pato. Who knows what the hell this is? His criminal record looks an awful lot like what you might expect a kind of guy in this kind of line of work to leave behind. And then there's the weird video evidence getting turned up.
Officials in Kyiv simply aren't interested in recruiting them.
Ukraine is reluctant to be cooperative.
That's Ryan Ruth, a U.S. citizen who set up the International Volunteer Center in Ukraine to help connect foreigners to Ukrainian military units.
Now I'm talking to over 100 soldiers every day, and pretty much everybody, all of my contacts in Ukraine, they were adamant, pretty much yelled at me every time that I suggested that we bring in Afghans.
The Ukrainian government didn't respond to our request for comment, but a source close to the officials in Kyiv told Semaphore that their top concern is the question of loyalty in the thick fog of war.
The biggest thing is spies. They're afraid that anybody and everybody is a Russian spy.
Shout out to some bitch I know on X, who currently has one of the best archives of all of his socials and accounts. There's a lot of other people doing good work right now. And again, I just want to clarify, I'm not trying to pretend like I've solved the case or like we know what's going on. We just have learned by now that the FBI is going to just cover everything up. And so it's up to us to try to dig everything out before they do. So that's what we're doing. And yes, it's ridiculous that that is even a set of sentences we have to say in America in 2024 when someone tries to kill the former and future president of the United States of America. And I mean, I can only imagine who might be backing up these operations to try to shoot him and who might be providing the intel and the access and the cover-ups, etc. So last thing I'll say, Ryan Routh, he's currently in custody. He was driving away in an SUV. They caught him. He's alive for now. And I just want to remind us all, Ryan Routh did not kill himself. If cameras malfunction outside of his cell, if he has a weird slipping accident, whatever happens, yeah, you know the story. 50 more days. My money's on at least one more attempt before we get there. So stay frosty, because the war machine desperately needs the wars to escalate, and they're not down with the MAGA Maha folks shutting down the wars. And they are ready to kill people, ready to assassinate, allegedly, apparently, theoretically, just jokingly, in order to perpetuate those wars.
Today's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's truths.
Some of these conspiracy theories have turned out to be true.
Which ones? The Trump-Russia witch hunt, Jeffrey Epstein, JFK assassination, the misuse of the Patriot Act, the Iraq War, the weapons of mass destruction, the war in Ukraine, the bombing of the Nord Stream pipeline, the open border migration caravans, the climate change scam, chemtrails, and HARP, and 9/11 being an inside job, and the Internet of Things surveillance grid, and PFAs, and chemicals in the water turning everyone gay, and the 2020 election being stolen, and January 6th being filled with undercover feds, and Bilderberg, and Bohemian Grove, and global government, not to mention gain-of-function research, and the threat of China, and collapsing birth rates, and defund the police, and George Soros, and mail-in ballots, and big tech censorship, and disinformation agencies, and Obama's birth certificate, and probably some others I can't think of. I mean, so a few of them. I guess a couple of them have been true.
You will meet so many amazing people wearing the shirt. I'd say you'll get probably 50 compliments before you get one person screaming at you.
There you have it, guys. Ian Carroll, he has done an exceptional job of bringing things to the forefront. And you take many poisonous needles. Trust me, when you spread the truth, and these people do allegedly assassinate a lot of people. So you not only take many poisonous needles, but you put yourself at risk. So hats off to him. And I'm glad that Alex Jones picked him up. He's really going to get that information out there. The guy is, that's what they look like, guys. And if we had been able to really dig into the other guy, the first assassin, before they erased everything from the internet, probably we would have found even more stuff. But I mean, that's a lot of links. That's a lot of links right there. Of course, there's photos with this guy with other prominent people. He was really out there. But I do agree with Ian. They're going to try again. They think that, and one of the main reasons they're going to try, and people, I know it's more and more people are getting it. They're realizing that we need to end the Fed. We need to end the Fed. We have to get out of this central banking system, cartel system that has a stranglehold on our country. But yeah, it's dangerous times, guys. Very dangerous times. They're not going to give it up easily. The Federal Reserve has been in control of the country since 1913. Actually, probably they started doing things before that. I think probably they had a hand in starting the FBI. The FBI was the first. It's hard going past 100 years. It's hard to get all the details. The first real job, the big job that the FBI had, was quelling the opposition to World War I. World War I would have not gone into World War I if it hadn't been for the Federal Reserve, for the central banking cartel taking over the money printing and the money supply, because they were able to fund it. So we passed the central banking cartel's control of the U.S. monetary system in 1913, the end of the year, and we also started the IRS the same year. And then we went into World War I in 1914. So it's all connected. And then Allen Dulles, of course, started the CIA. That was in the 1940s, I think, 40s or 50s. Allen Dulles was cousin to the Rockefellers, intimately involved, or whatever, connected at least to the central banking cartel. He ran the CIA for the longest time, as any other person. But these agencies that we have that we shouldn't even, you can close down these agencies like that. A president, if he could stay alive long enough, could shut them down like that. All right, the stroke of a pen, you guys are done. Has to happen. Same thing with the Federal Reserve. We are in the times that try men's souls and women. We'll see how this goes. But one of the main reasons that I think they really want to assassinate Trump is because he wants to lower taxes. And they talked about it on the show yesterday. I've talked about it on multiple shows, but the amount that you're taxed is always equal to the amount that comes in the federal income tax is always equal to the amount of money that is owed to the central banking cartel for the interest on the loan that they gave us. And remember, it's not even a loan. All they're doing is fronting the money and then taxing us. So they're loaning the federal government our money. They're loaning them your money, and then they're taking it from you from inflation, via inflation, by diluting the money supply. So they're literally, the government is paying the central banking cartel to tax you and me. I actually put out a post on it yesterday. I'll show it in ending here because I just kind of explained it. And, people don't want to really hear it. And I get it. They don't want to hear it. But then they see it when put that way and they go, oh man, shoot, this guy's right. I get it. I get it, guys. Nobody wants that. Let's see here. I think, there we go. Let me add this to the screen and then I will close up because I don't hear enough movement. I'm not sure if my daughters are up. So I put up this meme, and of course, this meme says 15 wars, 0 assassination attempts. And then on these guys, and then 0 wars and 2 assassination attempts on Trump, of course. I said, our government is not operating for its citizens because they answer to people that give them the money. It's important for people to understand that. They don't answer to you, they answer to the people that pay them. The people that pay them is the central bank. You don't pay them. The central bank pays them. So the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the TSA, and the Secret Service don't work for us either, guys. They work for the central bank. They work for the central bank. Because the central bank is who pays them. And that, my friends, is how it works. That's how it works. If you pay the person, they work for you. Central bank, we've given them the power. Woodrow Wilson did it, along with some other guys. They sold us out and they gave away the country. And we have to take it back. We have to end the Fed. End the Fed. I will be back on your TV in about 5 hours in Texas and Louisiana. It is always a pleasure, guys. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.